It's time to talk about the elephant in the room. Recently, the film The Marvels arrived on Disney Plus and brought back the discussion about the overall result of the film. Once we get the opportunity to rewatch scene by scene, in the comfort of your own home, it becomes easier to make a more informed criticism, unlike what happens when you watch a film in the theaters. Subscribe to the channel and like the video for more content like this. Take the opportunity to suggest the theme for the next video below in the comments. Just by the title of this video, you might assume I'm going to bash the movie. And you'd be right. Well, partly. Not everything in the movie was so bad as to justify its dismal financial performance. It did have its highs and lows. Needless to say, this video will contain spoilers for the film. Proceed at your own risk. To begin with, let's explain the premise of the film. Carol Danvers, Kamala Khan, and Monica Rambeau are three superheroines who acquired their powers through different means. I won't delve into how each one gained their powers, as each of their origins has been depicted in separate productions. For those new to the Marvel Studios universe, don't worry, the film provides a brief explanation of how each one of them obtained their abilities. The only thing the three have in common is that their powers are related to light. It may seem like a trivial explanation, but the film itself takes the time to clarify this. The powers of the three are based on the manipulation of light, or photon particles, if you prefer. Carol Danvers absorbs energy and emits it in the form of luminous energy. Monica Rambeau has the ability to absorb energy and utilize it in different ways, becoming intangible, invisible, and even flying, although she doesn't have much experience with it. As for Kamala Khan, she can shape luminous energy into solid constructs, something akin to what the Green Lantern can do. In the beginning of the film, we see that the three share yet another connection, Captain Marvel herself. It might seem peculiar, but let me explain. Monica Rambeau is a foster niece of Carol Danvers, and Kamala Khan is an avid fan of Captain Marvel. When you grasp this, you get an idea of why the dynamic among the three of them works so well. The issue arises when an accident intertwines their powers, causing them to switch places whenever two of them use their abilities simultaneously. This problem prompts the three to come together and attempt to uncover what's happening, all while someone tries to destroy everything, as is often the case in superhero movies. They even attempt to train their movements coordination to take advantage of the involuntary swaps. I can only imagine how annoying it must be to be constantly teleported around. During a battle, it's an unimaginable disadvantage, but the show must go on. Obviously, in the end, they are disconnected and no longer have to worry about this problem. Explain the plot of the film, it's time to discuss its low points. Firstly, the screenplay. It's weak and takes a while to get going. Just as we finally start to connect with the film, it ends. The only redeeming aspect is that it delves a bit into each of their origins. The downside is that it takes too long to explain why exactly they are connected and what they're gonna do about it. Another aspect of the screenplay that depends on one's perspective is the development of the relationships between the characters. Monica has an unresolved issue with her Aunt Carol, which strains their relationship. The origin of the resentment between them is explained, but honestly, it didn't convince me. As for Kamala, she's an avid admirer of Captain Marvel. She'd practically lick the ground her heroine walks on if asked. She writes fanfiction for Captain Marvel and chose her own name because of her hero. On the other hand, Carol Danvers doesn't seem to care about that. She even apologizes to the girl at one point when she's rude, but it seemed more like a formality than genuine remorse. Personally, I don't approve this attitude of hers. I'd be honored if I had a fan like that. I'd even put the girl on my team and everything. Another point that left me outraged was the solution they found about the problem of the planet Hala. It's revealed that their sun weakened after the Annihilator destroyed the Kree Supreme Intelligence in the first film. Then, simply put, Captain Marvel discovers that she can use her powers to reignite the sun of Hala. If it were that easy, she should have done it 30 years ago. There was no need to wait until the Kree people were on the brink of extinction. When Monica suggested she could do it, she had this look on her face like, why didn't I think of this before? Seriously, did she overlook this? Did the mighty Captain Marvel spend 30 years trying to fix the damage she caused to the Kree people and never even consider this possibility? Since I've mentioned the Kree, I couldn't help but mention the Skrulls. What on earth was that arc? The film had practically no connection to the Secret Invasion series. It's absurd that a story so closely related is completely ignored in a high-budget film. To give you an idea, the series was so disregarded that they rescued a bunch of Skrulls, brought them to New Asgard, and didn't even mention the events of Secret Invasion. It's as if the series never existed. Like every Marvel movie, it has its share of humor. The humor isn't overdone, but it completely contrasts with the seriousness of the cosmic problem the film presents. The first scene I must highlight is when they arrive on a planet where Captain Marvel is diplomatically married to their prince. The only catch on this planet is that all the inhabitants speak only in song, and they only understand others if they speak in song as well. This adds a musical flair to this part of the film, which will depend on your personal taste. The scene isn't very long and passes quickly. If you don't like it, there's no need to worry, the film isn't a musical. The second scene I need to highlight is the evacuation of the space station. They find a problem and need to evacuate everyone who is there at the moment, including Kamala's parents and Nick Fury himself. It would be manageable if they had the capacity to evacuate everyone, but that's not what happens. So, since the alien cat Goose gave birth to 30 kittens, they came up with the brilliant idea of having the kittens swallow the entire crew and fill the escape capsule with cats until they reach Earth. The idea is so absurd that it's almost genius. Then we have the scene of the cats swallowing the entire crew of the space station. The only thing the screenplay didn't explain was how they managed to convince the cats to do exactly what they wanted. It seems like they simply wrote down a bunch of absurd ideas on papers and randomly selected which ones would make it into the film. To me, these two scenes can only have originated from deep daydreams induced by unregulated hallucinogenic substances. However, two things I need to commend are the film's visual effects and choreography. During the fight scenes, when they are swapping places, it was really well done. Later on, when they learn to coordinate the swaps and how they use it during the fight, it was executed superbly. I also have no complaints about the visual effects, they are on the same level as the first Captain Marvel film and the Wanda and Kamala series. If we compare it to similar productions from the same year, like The Flash, the difference is clear. The Marvels had the same budget range as The Flash, for example, and it delivered much more impressively, especially in the space scenes. The Marvels wasn't nominated for any Oscars, but I genuinely believe it was worthy of consideration for the visual effects and choreography categories. And I'm not even saying it should win, because I know there are likely better productions, like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 itself. But what I'm saying is, at least it should be recognized for being well done. When a movie's CGI is bad, we criticize it, but when it's good, we have to acknowledge it. Another aspect I need to commend is the connections and references to other stories within the shared universe. With the exception of Secret Invasion, the film takes the effort to tie the story well to the rest of the universe. The main connections are with the movies and series that preceded the story, such as Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, WandaVision, and others. In addition to connections with the past, we also had connections with the future of the MCU. The highlight of the film was the final and post-credits scenes. The first scene, which in my opinion should have been a post-credits scene, was Kamala Khan recruiting Kate Bishop to form the Young Avengers. In this scene, she made a reference to the first post-credits scene in Marvel, in the first Iron Man, when Nick Fury recruited Tony Stark. The second connection was in the post-credits scene. After the film, Monica Rambeau found herself in a universe where she was rescued by Binary and Beast from the X-Men. Initially, Monica thought that person was her mother, but it was Maria Rambeau from another reality, where she became Binary. Soon after, Beast entered the room, acting as the Doctor, saying he was going to talk to Charles. Although it hints at an imminent entry of the X-Men into the Marvel multiverse, I wasn't entirely satisfied with this scene. That's because I was left wondering if that Maria Rambeau was the same one who appears getting beaten up by Wanda in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Obviously, it couldn't be the same Maria Rambeau, as the film takes place after Wanda kicks Maria and Professor X's asses, so it's not the same universe. That's the problem with the multiverse. Everything is so similar that we're unsure which universe each character comes from. At this point, I need to commend the construction of the Arrowverse multiverse, which always made it clear when someone was the version we knew and when they weren't. At least until the Crisis, everything was very well explained. And finally, I need to talk about numbers. According to a financial report from Marvel Studios obtained by Forbes, it was revealed that $274.8 million were spent on the Marvels. Considering the official box office data, the production grossed $206.1 million. You don't need to be a math genius to realize that the film literally incurred a loss. Even if the film had grossed over $300 million, we would still need to consider the box office split with theaters and dubbing studios, which takes roughly half of the money. The truth is, a film of this scale needs to gross at least around $700 million to start turning a profit for the studio. Any result below that is a red alert at Marvel. The film was literally the studio's biggest financial failure, performing even worse than The Incredible Hulk from 2009. If we consider inflation-adjusted figures over all these years, the outcome is even worse. It's a result worse than Marvel's worst result ever. How could such an expensive film be so universally disliked? The only possible explanation I see is the public's antipathy towards actress Brie Larson. The actress has been involved in controversies before, over political and ideological issues. Apparently, there was a widespread boycott of the film. The audience wasn't playing around. Combine a film that's not already a blockbuster with an ideological controversy, and there's the recipe for millions of dollars in losses. Even if it were an unknown film, the failure wouldn't have been as immense. Subscribe to the channel and like the video for more content like this. Take the opportunity to suggest the theme for the next video below in the comments. See you in the next video.